Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Lily. I am so happy you're here with me. In today's video, I am going to work on a layout in my 2025 junk journal. And today's layout is going to be all about faces, all about painting faces. And we are going to paint this face right here. One of my favorite things to do in between projects is to draw and paint these faces. I have been painting these faces since I was in high school, and they haven't evolved much. They look pretty much the same way they did back in the 80s. Big hair, big eyes, and big lips. Nothing shy about my ladies' faces. Let me show you a few others that I have done outside of my junk journal. Here is one of my favorite ladies' faces. I drew her in the summer of 2019, and she lives on my wall as decor. Here is another one of my favorite faces. I drew her earlier this year, and she is very similar to the one we are going to do today. And I love drawing the ladies' faces on old book pages. And I'll show you this last one. This one is much more simple, not too much color, but I love her just as much. And do you see how nice that looks with the book page in the background? Plus, I gave her some nice bold glasses. So I love drawing these faces. So join me in today's Junk Journal with Me session as we get painty in my junk journal. I'll meet you over in the Crafty Loft. See you there. We are halfway through the year, and one of my favorite things to do when I am searching for a page in my junk journal is to quickly thumb through all of the previous layouts that I have worked on. And it's a nice reminder and a little trip down memory lane of the past 6 months. And if you haven't started documenting, I think you should start. Start today. Grab yourself a notebook, whatever you have. A spiral notebook, your own DIY junk journal, just anything you have, and start documenting. Because when you begin a new layout, if you do it anything like me, I don't go in chronological order. I, as you can see here, just kind of randomly select whatever pages call my attention. But before I get to that point, I have to thumb through the pages of my junk journal, and it's so nice to go back and kind of quickly thumb through the pages, and it's just such a nice reminder of what I've documented thus far. Anyhow, if you haven't started, I highly recommend you start. This is my 2025 junk journal. I created this myself. I have an entire playlist, and I will have that playlist linked for you at the end of this video. And throughout the video, I will tag other videos of junk journal layouts that I have done. And I will link one for you up above, maybe the first video of this entire session. But I love that you are here with me. I love that I have started this Junk Journal with Me session because it also holds me accountable, and it gets me to creating and journaling in my junk journal. I think that without this, I would be much slower to journal, but because I now have this as a feature on my YouTube channel, it's important for me to continue and be consistent. We are going to play with acrylic paints today, and I am going to draw and create one of my 80s ladies' faces. I don't know what else to call them, but I call them 80s ladies' faces because I have been drawing these faces since the 1980s. And for a moment, I thought about going in and directly painting on the pages of the journal. But then I remembered that I really like working on old book pages. And this allows me the opportunity to use up my book pages. And if I make a mistake, then I can just start all over again. Not that I can't just paint over it even if I make a mistake on the actual page of the journal. Either way, if this is something that you are interested in doing, do whatever makes you happy. And the most important thing here is that you begin. There is no wrong or right way to journal in your junk journal. You do whatever makes you happy. And I'm going to do a little bit of mixed media today. And I started journaling in this journal in January, but then I was slow to journal. I wasn't being consistent. And then the idea of creating a series is what is helping me, document more often. But I always say, there is no right or wrong way. I like to do a little bit of drawing, a little bit of painting, some collage. I also like to journal with a lot of pictures. And I love that this junk journal is fun, vibrant, and super eclectic. I don't have just one single method of journaling. It's really whatever I'm in the mood for. If you're a crafter, you kind of know what I mean by that, because sometimes you want to paper craft, other times you may want to paint. Maybe you want to, work on home decor and maybe paint some furniture. There's just so many different types of crafts. There's also knitting, crocheting, sewing, just so many things. And if you like to be creative and, really work with your hands and just explore new ideas, techniques, just different things, junk journal, you can also do that with your junk journal. You can experiment and try so many different things, really whatever makes you happy. If you are a writer and you just want to focus on writing, maybe just your thoughts, maybe poetry, whatever makes you happy, whatever you want to jot down. Maybe, you enjoy writing and that's what you want to do with your junk journal. If you like drawing, you can focus on drawing in your junk journal. Maybe a little bit of mixed media. Maybe you're a collage artist. And you can designate any single thing to your journal. It's yours. But if you are like me and you want to explore and just do all kinds of different things, then you're at the right place because that's exactly what I do. The very first thing I did with this book page is I sketched out the face with just a number 2 pencil. And I just did a very quick sketch. I do a very loose drawing, kind of scribbly, nothing. These are whimsical faces, and they're not anatomically correct. They're just meant to be fun. Fun 80s faces, and like I mentioned earlier, big hair, big eyes, big lips, and very colorful. And I have been doing this since the 80s. My biggest regret is that I never put like a book together of all of the faces I've drawn throughout the years. I just kind of pick up a piece of paper and just kind of scribble a lady face, color, crayon coloring pencils, whatever is handy. And then, I don't know, they just disappear. And I've been doing these for so long where if I had a journal or a sketchbook or even thought about keeping an album of all of these faces, I mean, how cool would that be to be able to have all of those faces that I have drawn throughout the years in one journal or one notebook? That would be so cool. Even now, I don't do it now, but I'm starting to. And there are a couple of faces that I have drawn in this journal now. And all the others are just kind of strewn throughout the house. I use them more for decor now, but I'm sure I will get to the point where I will eventually put them in an album. But I love the way they look on my walls. I have some here in my office. I also have a few in the crafty loft. The next step that I've done, and let me tell you something, I honestly don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm doing this correctly, but I don't care. It's not going to stop me. Just because I don't know how to do something will not stop me from trying. And I will make mistakes along the way, but I'm also going to learn from all of these mistakes. And at one point, I may even stop and research how to paint correctly. But is there really a correct form? There are so many different styles of painting. That's why I don't think there is anything wrong with whatever I do or whatever you do. So what seemed to make sense is to grab some paint in like a flesh tone. I tried to match one to my skin tone. And then I just covered up the entire face and the neck, and I left the eyes plain. You can't really tell on the screen, but in person, I could kind of still see the pencil outline that defines the face, the jaw, and the neck. So it just doesn't look like my lady face doesn't have a chin. And now I'm going to choose my favorite paint color, which is turquoise. Turquoise is my favorite color, along with chartreuse, like a lime yellow. And I love working with those two together. And for some reason, don't ask me why, but for some reason, I enjoy painting the ladies' hair in turquoise. And I find that I do that over and over again. Why I don't do brown or black or yellow or orange, I don't know. But over the years, I gravitate towards turquoise hair. Maybe I secretly want turquoise hair. I don't know. And I'm now just simply outlining and painting within the outline. And I'm using a single brush. And, I don't know why. I have other brushes, but I just stuck with the one brush. And then I have my cup there with water. And then I'll go in and I will clean it. Back in, what was it? In the early 2000s, I went to Las Vegas. And I had a cartoonist draw my face. It was so much fun. I'm going to pop a picture in here so that so you can see it. I love this like cartoony portrait of me, and I have it currently living in my craft loft. And you may have seen it. It's featured like in the background of a lot of my videos. But I love that so much. And I think it was done, I honestly don't remember. 2004, 2005. I have the date stamp on the actual portrait. And I will probably, I'll add the year when I share that picture with you. But I love that so much. And I've always thought about the artists that can quickly, and I mean quickly, like within minutes, they can, create a rendition of your face. And sometimes it looks, it could be really comical. Other times it's more serious and more natural looking. But the way that these artists can sketch your face with such ease and speed is so amazing. And I've always thought about being that way, having that skill. And even though I doodle these faces quite often, they don't change. They're all the same. And like they've not evolved. They haven't evolved much. We had over Mother's Day, on Mother's Day, I should say, and I talked about this. We had a little DIY paint party, and I grabbed all of my supplies, and I gave everyone some mixed media paper, and we had paints on the table and paint brushes, and I had everyone choose someone, or we drew names actually, and we sketched one of the other people that were, here for Mother's Day. Anyway, I got to sketch my daughter, and my lady face looked, it was my daughter who I sketched and painted, but it didn't look that different from these ladies' faces. All I did really is do blue eyes. My youngest daughter has, these beautiful blue eyes, and so I painted the eyes blue and then drew some glasses. And then other than that, it was pretty much the same lady's face that I've been drawing for a long time, but it was so much fun. And the reason I mention this is, if I were to be a professional sketcher or cartoonist like that, I would really have to take into consideration like your features, your nose, your eyes, your ears, your chin, the shape of your face. But I don't when I've done it, because I've challenged myself and try to draw my kids. My kids growing up, they would say, "Mom, can you draw me?" And I would draw them, and they would all look the same, except the color of their eyes. That was it. But we had fun. They had fun because they'd sit still for a few minutes, and I got to sketch them out. And see, I wish I still had those somewhere. Maybe they'll come up in all of the paper files and things that I have stored away. Maybe one day I'll come across those. But so if I were a cartoonist, I would have to learn and take those things and your features into consideration. But I don't. For some reason, it's still all the same. I do the same shape face, the same eyes, the same chin, and they all have big 80s hair. And that's about it. So if you ever ask me, will you draw me? This is what you're going to look like, what you see on the screen right now, except I will match your eye color, and that's about it. And if you wear glasses, I'll draw glasses, but that's about it. I have so much fun doing this. In between projects, when I get stuck, this is what really helps me get my creative juices flowing. And I want to be able to use my supplies too. Just recently, my granddaughter and I went through a lot of my acrylic paints, and it was so disappointing to discover how many paint containers had dried up because the lack of use, or maybe they weren't sealed properly. I don't know. But I will say that I have more paint than I need, and I neglected some of them, especially the colors that I don't use very often. Like the turquoise and the greens, those I use, and the white I use on a regular basis. But all of the others, like purples and pinks, it was really sad to see those all gummed up and hardened in the containers. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to also use acrylic paints for my lady's face, is because it's something I don't do very often. In the face that I showed you earlier, that I did earlier this year, I did a little bit of acrylic paint, but I also used paint water. Do you know what I mean? Like paint water, like the water that is in this container I have here on the screen to the right-hand side. It turns to mud, but I used some of that to paint the background. I thought, I wonder if that'll work. And it was kind of muddy looking, and it's one of those things where, what's the worst that can happen? If I use mud water or paint water and it doesn't look good, well, then it just doesn't look good. That's all. And so, I experiment with the little things like that. But to use just 100% acrylic paints on my face, this is the first time I do this, and that's why I say I really didn't know what I was doing. But I went ahead and did it. I am adding blush, or giving the lady faces some rosy cheeks. And I watered the paint down a lot. And I wasn't sure if I liked the way that was turning out. And so I go in and try to remove some of it. But I go back and I fix it. And then I just go in with the paint and give this lady face some really, really bright pink cheeks. I think this is more of a reflection of my own personality. I love wearing makeup. I love doing my makeup every day. And I like to pack on the blush. I I know that I probably should tone it down a little bit, but I don't because I love for my cheeks to pop. One of my favorite type of videos to watch are get ready with me videos, especially videos on how to do makeup for women over 50. Because as we age, our makeup application, our makeup techniques, they should, we should be kind of changing that a little bit because our skin, our face, our eyes, they change a little bit. And so we need to kind of evolve with the application. Like I don't do my makeup the way I did when I was in the 80s, as a teenager, or even in my 20s or my 30s, even in my 40s. But blush, I haven't changed at all. I change where it goes on my face. Like I apply it a little bit higher now so that, my face looks, it's like giving it a little bit of a facelift. But I won't give up the blush. I love the blush, and I just love watching those types of videos. The other types of videos that I enjoy watching are the what's in my bag videos, and also home decor videos. Let me throw out a few of my favorite channels. Home tour videos, home decor videos. There is a channel called Homeworthy, and then there is another called Quintessence. I love those two channels so much because they tour homes of professional home designers or home decorators. And I love how eclectic their homes are. Can you imagine? They are working with clients and they are meeting the client's needs. And there are so many different styles of home decor. So you hire these professionals to come in and decorate your home. So if you like farmhouse style, then they're going to give that to you. If you like boho, they're going to do that. If you like French country, if you like, maybe Mediterranean, maybe, Spanish style, whatever it is you like, a home designer, home decorator is going to meet your needs. However, their homes, this is what I like about these videos. Their homes are going to reflect all of the different styles that they've worked on in their careers. And that's what I love because their homes are eclectic. There are so many wonderful styles. And so they incorporate all of those different styles into their homes. And that's my jam. That's what I like. I don't stick to any one style. I have a very eclectic style. Lots of color, lots of everything. And, I'm a maximalist. So my junk journal is also a reflection of that. A reflection of my personality and my maximalism style. If you wonder, like if you want to know what kind of style you have, watch those home tours and you're either going to like it or not. And then you're going to gravitate towards things that you like. You may not like, maximalism and boho and eclectic style like I do, but it's going to narrow down maybe what you like, and then you can showcase that in your junk journal. Do you know what I mean? So the way that I junk journal and the way that I create is a reflection of the way that I decorate my home. And they kind of go hand in hand. And you can see that as you flip through the pages of my journal, and I will do a complete flip through of my junk journal once I have it complete. I should have it complete before the end of the year, I'm hoping, because then I'm going to start on a winter/holiday journal, and I usually do that right around November. And so I'm hoping to have this journal completed by then. But when I do that flip through, you're going to get an idea as to what my style is. And it's just, to some it may be chaotic, but to me, it makes me happy. It's a reflection of my personality and all the things that I absolutely love. And look what I've done here. Now, you may have liked how I was just using a little bit of pink on the rosy cheeks, but I needed more. And so I just went in with the full acrylic paint. I didn't even water it down. And I just love the pop of these rosy cheeks on her face. I just love the way that looks. So maybe you already have your home style, nailed. You know exactly what you like. Take that and incorporate that into your junk journals. Where do I start? How do I know what I like? I don't know what I like. Take a look around your home and take inspiration from that when you begin to create in your junk journal. I also love animal prints, and there is a lot of animal print scattered throughout my house, in my area rugs, in my throw pillows, in my artwork, a lot of little animal prints. And so I like working with animal prints in my junk journals. Just a little bit. We don't need a lot of it, but there is a little bit in there. And then I love polka dots. And so you'll see polka dots throughout my home and also, in my junk journals. So I know that I'm kind of going on a tangent here. I'm all over the place. And it's all because these are some of the questions that I get asked, not just in here on YouTube, but also in my other social medias. I'll get messages about, I'm going to get the hiccups. I get messages about where to start, or, where do I begin? And just do what you love. Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you're already doing in your home, in your scrapbooks, and just kind of take a little bit of that and start creating in your junk journals. I am now grabbing some white paint and adding a few highlights to the face, and especially the eyes. The eyes come alive when you add the white highlights to them. And I also took a Sharpie, just a regular Sharpie, and I outlined all of the pencil outline, the eyebrows, the ears, the chin, to give the face a little bit more definition. Now, you probably saw this at the very beginning, and you probably thought, oh my gosh, what is she doing? It's a hot mess. But you have to trust the process. Whatever it is that you're doing, you know that you have a vision. You have an idea of what the outcome is going to be. So just work with that. And if it doesn't work out the first time, keep going, because practice will always make better. I am not saying that I am an artist. I am the last person to be giving anybody any painting advice. But I'm not holding back. I love playing around. I love experimenting. And when I get asked, where do I start? Just start. And just try. Just do it. Just go ahead and do it. Do you know what I mean? And what's funny is my sister my sister will text me pictures, and she'll say things, like, I watched this one video of your strawberries, or I watched your video of your other ladies' faces, and here is my rendition of that. She says, it doesn't look anything like yours, but I started. It's not supposed to look like mine. It's supposed to look like your art. Your art will never look like anybody else's art. We take inspiration from other people's work, I'm sure. We're inspired by their work, their creativity. But when we begin to create our own, it is going to be completely different. And you already know that. You already know it's going to be different. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. And don't get upset because it doesn't turn out like whoever you were inspired by, because it's always going to be your own. It's going to have your own personal touch. There's another channel I'm going to mention, and it is called A Bit of Birdsong. And that's the name of her channel. I can't remember the gal's name, but her channel is A Bit of Birdsong. I love her style of journaling. She does like trashy style journaling, and I love it. I love watching her. And she also does faces. Her faces are so different from my faces, and I just love how she incorporates them into her journals. And so if you know who I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. If you don't know, go over and watch her channels. A Bit of Birdsong. I love it. She uses a lot of, more junk than I do in my journals. Hers are trashy, but they're beautiful. They're eclectic. They're junky. They're boho. Just a little bit of everything, and super, super. It's like a maximalism style, and I think that's why I just love her channel so much. Anyway, she does these faces, and it's her own little style. And so you will, if you want to do ladies' faces, do the ladies' faces, or do male faces. I don't do male faces. I don't know how. Should I try? Maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe I'll try, but I don't. But if this is something you want to do, I encourage you to just do it. Let me know if you're going to give that a try. So I am still going in there with my black Sharpie and kind of, making those eyes pop a little bit more, making them more bold and doodly. And then I also took some more white acrylic paint to give the hair some highlights. And I really love the way this looks. It gave it so much more dimension. I do this because I need to get the creative juices flowing sometimes, because I get stuck or I don't know what direction to go in. And so this is a great way for me to reset the creativity, and it kind of keeps me focused. And let me tell you, while I'm working on my ladies' faces, for example, when I was working on this particular face, I was so inspired, and I was generating new ideas for future projects, and also developing new techniques with paint, and how I could use paint on other mediums, maybe fabric, maybe even a junk journal cover, things like that. And all of those ideas are flowing through my mind as I am creating this. And while I was working, after I used the white highlight, I decided that I wanted to add some shading to give the face even more definition. Totally experimenting, something I've not done before. So I grabbed these watercolor pencils. I think these are watercolor pencils. And I started going in and doing a little bit of shading. And again, I did not know what I was doing. Do you want to know who else I like watching a lot? And I follow her on Instagram, Tandy Art. I think she's amazing. She does scribbly type of work, and her style is so fun and so whimsical and so colorful. Tandy art. And she'll use watercolor, she'll use acrylic paint, she'll use coloring pencils, just all the different forms of all the different mediums in her artwork. And so I drew inspiration from that to work on this step right here with the shading with the pencils. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, I'm like, I'm just going to give it a try. And it was kind of harsh at first, and I tried to blend with my finger, and that didn't work out really well. And then I go in, I'm like, okay, these are watercolor pencils, so let's move that pigment around a little bit with some water. Still didn't know what I was doing, but I went ahead and blended out a little bit of that color, and I just love what this was doing. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to playing with your supplies and experimenting and having no fear at all. We have the supplies, so let's play around, let's use the supplies, and let's not be intimidated by the supplies. And even if this, now I love how my lady's face turned out. Absolutely love it, 100%. And even if she didn't come out quite as, how I wanted her to, I was still going to add her into my junk journal because I could always look back and remember all of the steps that I did in creating her and learn from that. I am going to add even more dimension by doing some splatters. And I even thought about doing gold splatters, and I could have done that too. You know how much I love working with the gold splatters. This has been so much fun. This was, oh my gosh, I do the gold splatter. I completely forgot that I did that. Oh, I know myself so well, and I just love the gold splatter, so why wouldn't I add gold splatters? Oh, that's so funny. I completely forgot that I did do that. I love that I did that. But this was so much fun, playing around with the acrylic paints and drawing this face. I just love this so much. And I may do another one and actually frame her and add her to my gallery wall in my crafty loft. Now it's time to add her to the junk journal page. The book page is slightly bigger than the page in my junk journal. So I'm just going to trim down the excess, and I am just going to glue her down. And I'm just going to take a glue stick and then add her. Before I added her to the junk journal, I did actually think about just keeping her loose and adding her to my wall, but because this is what I started out doing, I thought I am going to finish. And then after I glue her down, I'm also going to add a sentiment. I'm going to use some stickers and add a sentiment as a final touch. I wasn't going to do that, but I think it needed a sentiment. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you enjoyed this process, and I hope that you found inspiration so that you can get painty and basically do whatever you want in your own junk journal, and then take inspiration from the world around you to be able to create in your own journal. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Now, I edited this out, but I did set her aside so that she would dry before I went in and glued her down. And I don't want to smear, in case it was still a little bit wet, I didn't want to smear the drawing. And so I took another book page so that I could make sure that she is completely glued down to the book page. Let me know if you are going to give this a try, and let me know if you enjoyed this type of layout and this type of video, if you like this type of creativity. If you want to see more of this, please let me know in the comment section below. I am going to have a brief slideshow at the end so that you can see close-ups of this lady face, and that'll come shortly. I am using some of these Tim Holtz stickers. I love these. The sentiments are amazing, and they're nice and sticky, but because I'm going to be gluing these down onto acrylic paint, I want to make sure that they don't fall off. So I'm using my favorite glue, the Ultimate Glue, and I'm just going to add a couple of these sentiments. And let's see, I have my journal here because I can't see on the screen what the sentiments say. Can I find my page here in my journal? I can't. I didn't have it there, but you can see there on the screen the sentiment that I decided to use. You could leave it alone if you are going to do this and not do any sentiment at all. This has been so much fun. Again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my video with your friends and your family. You guys are awesome, and I will see you next time. Bye!